Okay, good evening and welcome to chapter 14 of The Living Marriage, Binyan Abayas. Today we're going to be learning lesson 2 in part 2 of lesson 4. Lesson 4 is about kedusha, holiness. We're going to really talk about holiness today. We're going to start quoting Zohars over here. That's the first time I think he's actually quoted a Zohar and analyzed the Zohar. Most of this chapter is comprised of a Zohar from Parshas Kedoshim. We learned in chapter 13 about the Rashi and the Ramban's explanation of Kedoshim to you. Now we find out what the Zohar has to say about Kedoshim to you. If you're not a Baki in Zohar, it's a good time to learn some Zohar. I mean, I'm 40 years old, so I can learn Zohar now. The Zohar basically says Kedoshim, the real Kedusha, he says, is Hashem Shechina is Shora when he's called a person. When is he called a person? When you have a Zachar and a Keva. I'll read the translation because it's like Aramaic, the Zohar. The Zohar answers, rather, Zohar then asks, why did the verse in Eov state with one? Chevron, he is, okay, one second. Come and see, at the time when a person is engaged in a unified connection between a man and a woman who have proper intention to become holy, then he, the person, is complete and called one with no flaw. So he says you become kadosh and connected to the achdus of Hashem, the one of Hashem, right? That's the Zohar's about. You're connecting to the Shechina, you're connecting to the higher self of your higher self. Essentially, everyone could be part of Hashem, right? So you're connected to it when a man and a woman connect. As he mentioned many times in this book, that the idea is that man and woman are together for unification because each one is only half a person. A man is missing his feminine side, and a woman is missing her masculine side. At the time of their union, they become a whole person. And then the Shechina is Shora on them because that's a davar of Shleimus he brings from the Maharal, who explains this further. The Maharal says that Hashem only is Masha Shechina. He brings his divine presence on things which are complete. When a couple is during their time of union, that's the holiest time because then they're complete. Because they have, obviously, when you're married, you're not in the bedroom. You're also, working on developing a feminine side to yourself and a masculine side to yourself. I don't know. This is not so relevant, but I'll bring it anyway because it's a very short chapter and there's not much to talk about over here. I don't know if people are familiar with this guy named Andrew Tate. It's probably coming out left field for a lot of people. This guy Andrew Tate is a guy that's banned from a lot of social media platforms. He's an English guy, a real alpha male. What stuff he says makes a lot of sense. It does. It's coming from an alpha male. His views of women basically are that women should be confined to the house. They should take care of the kids, have children, take care of their husband. That's basically it. He says nowadays men are still performing their task is to build up the modern world. The women have tried to integrate into that world and they're not fulfilling their tasks of cooking and taking care of the house and things like that. Which he says basically is he's saying that he's not discriminating against women. He believes that men and women are not essentially less than men. They just have different roles than men, which I think makes a lot of sense. But he's been banned. A lot of feminists are very against what he says, and the message that he said, they think it leads to hate and discrimination against women. The reason I'm bringing him in is because even though this person really, he's a very attractive man. Physically he's okay, but I'm saying his physical appearance is okay. But the alpha male, right? A lot of women are attracted to him. The stories that he tells sounds like he has a woman at his disposal whenever he wants. The thing that's missing, I know that's missing about him, is he doesn't have a feminine side to him. He's so serious. This guy. All these alpha males, even Donald Trump, they're so serious. You gotta laugh a little bit. So serious. They're telling you. A lot of this stuff makes sense. It sounds truthful. But they're so serious. They're missing the feminine side to them. And that's the difference between Andrew Tate and me. The reason Andrew Tate is that Andrew Tate doesn't have the Torah. And Torah is called Rahmana. It's called the merciful one. It's a female language. And it gives you a sense of femininity into your personality. Meaning, he's an alpha male. He's very strong. He was a kickboxer. He's strong. He has a strong mind. He's, but he, and he has a strong personality, and he's self-confident. However, he's missing a little bit of the femininity, that personality. You have to be able, I'm sure he can get any lady he wants, probably. There's a lot, and most alpha males can probably get any lady they want because there's so few of them. alpha males, and women gravitate towards an alpha male. Um, However, he's missing the femininity side and the sense of humor and having a good time. He said, uh, I'm bringing it in because it's a book about intimacy. He said when he's together with one of his, he's not married, one of his, girlfriends or whatever, or ladies for the night, they ask him, they say, after it's over, they're like, you stick around for 2 hours? He says, 2 hours? You kidding me? You know how much money I'm going to lose in 2 hours? He says, oh, no, on the phone, I'm always making business. He says he has 30 cars that are valued over like $1 million. He has diamond watches valued over $1 million. Apparently he makes money. I'm not exactly sure how he makes his money. He motivates people. I don't know. He's been kicked off social media. So I don't know exactly how he makes so much money, but he's really ultra wealthy. And he said his time is so invaluable. I'm not going to spend, but to me, I'm hearing that. I'm like, a lot of stuff you're saying makes sense, but like for yourself, wouldn't you want to spend time with a woman? I mean, he's enjoying the company of this woman for, when they're together, it's nice also to sleep together with a woman. That's part of life, the feminine side. And that's part of getting married, about, even when you're not together, about developing that feminine side in yourself. And also a woman, right? She grows up, especially in the Beis Yaakov, she only grows up among girls. She learns about the masculine side, which is good to have both of those for your complete personality, for both the man and the woman to develop the personality even more. Men, right, don't have so much emotion, even though he says most of the men nowadays are taught you have to be emotional and you have to be weak emotionally. He says you got to be strong, you got to be stoic. But it is important to have connected to emotion. And for a woman, it's also important not just have emotion, but also to use her intellect, or develop her intellect also. Because when you just make decisions based on your emotions, a lot of times it's the wrong decision. And when you make decisions based on your intellect, usually it's the right decision. But you're not going to have people who want to stick around with you if you're not emotional, you don't care about them. So both things are important. Here he's talking about the Zohar, which could technically make sense what the Zohar is saying, and it expresses itself as most when they're physically together. Now, he says, of course, he warns. He says in chapter 1, pointed out this mitzvah has a unique quality which requires the couple to understand its essence. A mistaken understanding of this mitzvah primarily rests on the physical action uproots the entire mitzvah. Again, I vehemently disagree with the author. He says the worst part is to assume that the unity in the bedroom between the husband and wife is for the enjoyment physically. It's not for that. It's for some spiritual idea that you're unifying with man and woman. So, of course, it's not spiritual, because it's not like you don't want to, get rid of your physical desires, but you don't want to be purely for physical. Hard to understand this balance. No, it's for physicality. That's what the relationship is about, and you have to learn how to enjoy it. He mentions one thing over here which is interesting, which Chazal and the Darim say this explicitly, that a person who's together with his wife, he shouldn't be thinking about another woman while he's together with his wife, even if he's married to more than one woman, as his own wife. Even Saras, I think, where it's not Nida, Nadarim, Daf Chaf Ben Aleph, which is important because it's not just about thinking about a different woman. Because the reason it's so bad to think about a different woman, maybe the other woman is more attractive or not, but the point is that it confuses you. And when you're thinking about a different woman while you're together with one woman, you can't focus on the woman you're with. Right? I don't think it's related to just thinking about a different woman, about thinking about anything, thinking about learning. Some Talmidei Chacham probably thinking about learning in the middle or something like that. I'm sure there are. In the beginning of my marriage, I thought about it because I was so frum. I was just learning the streets. Sometimes your mind just wanders. To learning. So I imagine that there are other people like this, other Rabbanim like this also. So the point is that when you're thinking and your mind is not here, you can't focus on enjoying the woman. And I think that's, Adam Yada as Chava. It says in the beginning of the Torah, he knew his wife. What does that mean, Yada? So one of my Rebbeim always used to say, Yada, Yediya means Chibur and Behirus. That's what Yediya means. To know something means Chibur and Behirus, meaning you connect to it and it's clear. And that's what we learn from Adam Arishon, Yada as Chava. I don't understand exactly what. But the simple explanation, Yada as Chava, is that when he's together with his wife, he was focusing on her, focusing on the different parts of her body, focusing on enjoying what she looked like, what her face looked like, what her hair felt like, what her the different parts of her body. I'm not going to enumerate the different parts of a woman's body. You can figure it out yourself. But, he enjoyed every part of the woman's body. He got to know. He got to know what his woman's body is like. And it's not so simple to do that, because a lot of times people are rushed in the bedroom. and they just want to get it over with the man, and they're into it for themselves, and they're not thinking. Some people are just doing it for the woman, and they're not really focusing on enjoying themselves, on focusing on the woman. So when you be in the bedroom, I think that's included in what Chazal is saying, not just focusing on a different woman, but focusing on your wife and focusing on her body and knowing her and realizing who she is, what she really looks like, and appreciating. Obviously, when you come into the bedroom, this is good advice from most people that you should try. Um, Obviously, maybe in the beginning, you don't feel comfortable doing this, but I think lingerie is an important thing. I think wearing cologne and things like that for a man is very important. You could ask each other what you like to be seen, which which way you like the other person to present themselves. You could talk about it. You should talk about this because ultimately it's for enjoyment. It's not like I believe it's not like the author says over here, and you want to accentuate that enjoyment as much as possible and focus on the ways that will bring out that beauty, and that's part of the ways of clothing, different types of clothing. Clothing, on the one hand, it masks something, but on the other hand, it also can bring out specific types of clothing for the bedroom could bring out the beauty of your wife and also the beauty of the husband. Send different colognes and different pieces of clothing, lingerie, and things like that. So it's important to know about these things. I don't think, you know, I heard stories about people, custom teachers and college teachers tell them when they get married the first night the wife should buy lingerie and things like that. I don't think it's the best thing at the beginning, especially if people are not familiar with women, and men are not, and women are not familiar with men. They're gonna feel uncomfortable in the beginning, especially a Haredi girl. Um, but it is something to consider to spice it up in the bedroom from time to time because it needs to be spiced up from time to time. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this chapter. He basically quotes the Zohar over here, elaborates on the Zohar, and just reiterates some of the points he's been saying that the unification of man and woman is the ultimate purpose of the bedroom, and that's when the Shekhinah comes and don't get into the physicality, even though you're not supposed to be in the spirituality. So what are we? Anyway, that's all I have to say. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.